Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's technical talk, stocks and crypto technical talk. So, I'm happy to be here with you guys today, and I'm looking forward to discuss the current volatility. The market has been out of control again one more time. So, I'm looking forward to discuss that with you, to go through some setups to the current situation. What can we expect tomorrow from the meeting with Fed? How can we trade in this volatility? And yeah, I'm gonna go through some short setups as well. So let's see if we find something. Feel free to let me know whatever you have, whatever you want to discuss. If you have some specific stocks, let me know. We're gonna discuss them. And if you have some cryptocurrencies which you would like to talk about, I'm looking forward to that too. So we are here to do this together. Jerome, nice to have you here. Hi. And Duck is also with us as well. So I'm going to put him live. We're going to have this together and discuss together our opinions and see if we have the same opinion or different opinions here. Okay. Hello, Duck. Nice to see you. How are you doing?
Hey, that's all I got to say. Hey, hey. Yeah, who's here? Who is here? I see Jerome is here. I see you're
Jerome is
here.
here.
Yeah,
Josephine.
Josephine is here. Josephine said hi, Sylvia, but no, Josephine didn't say hi to me. There, Jerome did. All right, guys, I'm ready to go. I hope you're ready to bring the heat. I'm ready for some heat.
Yeah,
It's
I'm
getting
ready for some
hot over
heat
here.
too.
Let's get some hot. Hope you guys are like got the air conditioner on and bring some heat. All right. What are we talking
So
about today? I thought I heard you say the word short. You got my interest when you said short.
yeah, let's start with the current situation. So I want to discuss here what happened, and one of my favorite setups, which works normally 90% out of the time, this time didn't work. So
90. 90. Oh boy.
yes, and
90. That's a lot. That's a big
yeah,
number.
no, it works really good, and I wanted to discuss this why it didn't work, and also how to recognize that there is a shift in the market. So I've been discussing this is by the way here, guys, the US. This is the S&P 500 futures index, and I'm looking at that. You can look at SPY, which is the ETF. It doesn't really matter, whatever you feel comfortable with. I'm looking at those futures because personally I trade futures and I trade those contracts and I like to look at them. They're open 24/7. You have decent volatility with them. You can definitely catch some nice moves, but also when it gets ugly, it can go always very fast in the other direction as well. So that's not only one side. So we're going to discuss what happens normally the majority of the time, and this is one of my favorite setups. We have on the daily chart a pullback bounce, breaking the lows. That's one of the setups which I have seen a lot of times, which made me a lot of profits throughout the years. And then you have then this straight up move. And if we go back on the chart, we see this a lot of times. So if I go back, this is the S&P 500. You see this back here. That's the setup I'm talking about. Up, you see this back here, straight up. So you can find this a lot on the chart, even if you go further back. So I'm not gonna go here years back, but if you go back, same with NASDAQ. So those two, NASDAQ and ES, they have this same setup. And if you go on the lower time frame, so if you see that on the daily chart and you go on the lower time frame and find there a decent area, support area to start buying, that's how I personally trade that. So we're going to go now on the 4-hour chart and I'm going to explain why. Back here, you see red, green, red. You see those wicks here holding for a long period of time, this support. This means there are just not enough sellers to press the price lower. And then at some point we bounced, tried to reverse back down, but then had this huge move. So this time it looked to me actually pretty similar. So we have this drop, red, green, red, and then drop a little bit more and started to hold here 4,495. Started to curl higher highs, higher lows, I mean, on the lower time frame. And I traded actually the Nasdaq on this one. This was a very nice profit. On the lower time frame, you see that's the setup. It's making a double bottom reversal candle. That was the entry and broke out. So normally when this happens, you will see a continuation. So normally it will pull back a little bit and it will continue higher. In this case, it didn't happen. That's what I'm saying. The majority of the time it works, but of course, as traders, we never know. Sometimes, all those setups, they're not 100% guarantee for profit. So sometimes they will not work. That's why we're using technical analysis as a guide only, and most importantly, risk management. So what happened here, it looked like on Friday, and I have to say, this fooled me pretty bad, because I was thinking this is gonna go higher, and I thought this is it, it's gonna continue. And it looked like that. It pulled back. You see this decent support here, broke out actually, and I thought we were going to test the highs, but what happened is this reversal. And as soon as we started to break this candle slow here, the green candle slow, that's a very, very bearish sign. And not only it broke down, so normally it can happen that it breaks and then does that and continues higher. So you will see this a lot of time. But not only it broke the lows, it actually dumped with this big red candle. Now, if you're long here, you have to definitely get out of this trade, because this means something is going on. This is not the setup which you were looking for. That's a totally different scenario right there. And so it didn't even hold support. It broke lower. And now I just don't see how this thing is going to sustain the high. So I think we were going to see more drop, especially going into tomorrow's Fed. It might get really ugly. Same with NASDAQ, same situation, the setup which I just explained with this, and then going straight up, where you can find this on the chart a lot of times. It didn't work here. It tried to make this, but it bounced, but then it rejected support and it couldn't break out. And now we're heading back to the low. So I think we might test here the lows. And even if we break those lows, go further lower, because inflation looks very bad. Duck, what do you think about inflation?
It's it is really bad. That was an easy question. It's terrible. It's terrible. It costs like $500 for a Christmas tree. I mean, come on. I don't want to complain because it's Christmas and you should be very kind, but I mean, that's a lot of money, isn't it? That's a lot of
Yeah, it
money.
is. Yeah.
It's I think it was somewhere around 7% already. And I think we talked about it in our last little technical talk. I do believe this becomes the Achilles heel of the market and causes something seriously catastrophic in our market
Yeah.
next year.
So, guys, we don't want
Uh,
to scare
yeah,
anyone.
I'm not scared. I don't know how long a bear market will last. Let's just say I don't say we're going to go, because even all the best bear markets in their term, if you look back through the history of bear markets, they don't really last long. If you look at that, there's a chart floating around on the internet. You can see the length of bull markets versus the length of bear markets.
Yeah,
Usually
yeah.
they're about 6 months in length at best, but most of the damage, even the ones that were like a year, you go back in history, even the ones that were long, most of the damage was done in like 3 to 4 months. Like it's sort of like a COVID thing where
Yeah.
you just get obliterated for 2 to 3 months, then the market just stays there for a year. That's the only difference. But I think the market will take recognition of this rising inflation, because I just don't think the Fed can get us out of this mess. I think they've
Yeah.
mistimed this, misplayed this. Supply chains are going to continue to be a problem. That's going to
Yeah.
create even more inflation, and eventually the market's going to take notice. But maybe they're doing that right now. Maybe I'm thinking next year. Maybe I should scoot my time frame up.
Yeah. So Josephine is saying that pattern could repeat itself like in October. Yeah, October, it could be that this tests the lower dip here, maybe even lower, who knows, and then go back
Josephine
up.
wants to know if we're going to get a Santa rally. Do you think we're going to get a Santa rally?
Oh, I thought this on Friday, but now,
Ask me tomorrow, because I
yeah,
thought the same. I was like, Friday, Santa rally all time highs. Monday, okay, we're not getting a Santa rally.
I thought the
No
same
Santa.
thing.
Man,
Sebastian is here.
tomorrow the
Nice to
market
see
will go
you.
up 1,000 points. It'll be Santa rally.
Yeah. Sebastian, nice to see you here. Nice to have you with us. And Helio, nice to see you too. Jerome is saying here in South Carolina, Christmas trees trade at 12 a foot. Oh, okay. So now let's talk a little bit about Fed, since we have Fed tomorrow is very important. And I want to know, what do you think? I can share also my thoughts. So I see somehow they're running out of tools here to manage this inflation. And if this continues with the same pace like right now, I do think next year we might get into a double digit, and this is getting, very ugly and not cool for anyone. So the question is here, how can Fed manage this whole situation? One thing is they can start tapering. They said already they're going to start taper. They're going to start taper faster than they wanted to. They already mentioned that. But do you think they can start aggressively increasing interest rates? And if they do, what do you think this can cost to the whole economy? Guys, I'm sorry we were talking about going into this direction now, but I just think that's important, and also nice to hear some views and opinions here.
Well, I don't know, because like I said, I think they can do it by raising interest rates, but will they? And I guess you always have to ask yourself the problem that I thought we could have is interest rates have been too low for too long. So, on one hand, if all the powers that be are saying this is the greatest economy ever, then you shouldn't be able to hold off on interest rate increases. You shouldn't have to keep interest rates continually low, inflating everything, right?
Yeah.
If it's the economy should be strong enough to stand on its own.
But
But
like, look,
it never did that. And I said this before, it's not a political thing. I'm just saying exactly what happened. When Jerome Powell took over, he originally tried to do the right thing by raising rates in 2018, and the market just didn't like that. Remember, we had like a 30-some% correction in the month of December, where Steve
yeah.
Mnuchin or whatever had to call the banks, if I recall. And he was always under pressure from Trump at that point to keep rates at zero, to keep rates low, to keep fueling this frenzy. And of course, he did it.
But
And
yeah,
here we are with COVID. Once you have a
yeah.
catastrophic instance, you've got no firepower. And I think we're out of firepower.
Yeah, that's what it is. And you know what? I don't know if you heard that, but he was actually disappointed. So Jerome Powell is disappointed that people didn't take the money which they gave to everyone, and put into the economy. A lot of people took it and put it into the stock market. So he's kind of disappointed that the stock market is going so much higher. So, do you think this might make them do something which can cause crash on the markets and maybe clean out
Good.
some
Oh,
of the
yeah,
over
sure.
leveraged invested people?
Yeah. And when you look back at this rally, as inflated as it is, there are two main culprits of that. Obviously, the Fed, but corporate buybacks, making corporate buybacks what they are has fueled. I think Apple is the one that's purchased most of their stock back. That's helped this rally immensely. And then, of
Yeah.
course, the rest of us in the world, I'm sure the people listening are right along the same lines that we are. As you say, Sylvia, cash is trash. Cash is trash. I mean, everybody that's listening in here is losing 7% of their money right now. And that's putting pressure on everyone to invest, right? You got to invest to get 7% of your money back. You can't keep
Yeah.
cash is trash, cash is bang. And you can't keep it there. So and again, this is where you see the creativity of today's investor. Things like Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies are aggressive assets, risk-on assets. So when people are desperate to beat inflation, they start getting creative with low float stocks, cheap stocks, speculative assets, cryptocurrencies. When they have a
Yeah.
high appetite of aggression and risk, that's when you see those things run at their peak.
Yeah, I
If
think
the Fed tapers or that stuff gets off the table, then those assets will suffer,
yes.
and in the beginning at least, they'll
I
have a
I think
short-term
too.
correction based on that. So
And I think a lot of people are really over leveraged, and taking loans because money is cheap, obviously putting a lot of money into the stock market, into different risky assets. But what if they increase rates and they cannot pay back those loans? Do you think we might see a deeper crash, and we will clean out of some of the people who are just newbies to the stock
yeah,
market and started investing a lot of money last year, this
yes,
year?
Yes, I think that's very possible. I don't see why it wouldn't.
Yeah, I
I
think so.
imagine the Fed tries to test the waters with this interest rate thing in 2022. Like they'll throw out some clues that they might do it, that they're going to talk about it, much like they did tapering to see if the market can handle the reaction. If the market seems like they can deal with it, or the market then eventually changes its mind and wants the rate um, increase, then it's fine. Because like it's all like the same thing with tapering. If you would have tapered last year, the market would have dumped, right? It would never have survived.
Yeah,
But 1 year later, the market, when I talk about the market, I'm talking about the participants in the market and the powers that be. They they have said, okay, it's okay now. It wasn't okay last year, but it's okay now. So they've hinted in some of their meetings, I think it was what, like maybe none in 2022, maybe one or two, and then some other Fed members see for sure in 2023. I forget what those stats were, but we'll have to see if any of those change where what is it, where all the Fed members vote and say they think this is when they're going to raise rates and when they're not going to raise rates. What is that?
yeah.
Um,
But I think personally, this can cause a lot of problems. If they start raising the rates, they will have to. The market is obviously going to take, of course, a dive, and the question will be, how are they going to keep? Because they're going to do something to save it. Do you think they might start buying, starting like what Japan did, and starting
we're gonna
doing?
they'll start QE again and be like, here we
Yeah.
go again.
No,
You know,
starting, well, this, or maybe just starting to buy ETFs, individual stocks, like Japan is doing.
probably. But doesn't Jerome Powell already buy individual stocks?
That's true.
You see that's why Apple's so high. They still got all their money in Apple.
Yeah.
Uh, but
AW.
that's when we
Yeah.
have these conversations, they're always great for entertainment. And we can speculate all we want, but we really don't know. I mean, maybe we dodge there is no, maybe the market just continues to run like this for several more years. Maybe it's a really big crash and it stays down for a while, or maybe it's a V-shaped rally like coronavirus. I don't know. As traders, all we can do is trade what we see, right? I mean,
Yeah. Yeah.
trade the
And one
price
thing is traders.
action.
We
Um,
know that we don't know. That's what it is
yeah.
as traders,
So like you
unfortunately.
look at the market right now, and I wouldn't. I'll tell everybody straight up. I have no idea here. I thought like you thought last week with all that bullishness that we would possibly run through all-time highs. It seems so aggressively bullish, and then you start the week out with such aggressive selling. I know there's news that engineers that, but it's the same news that was last week. I mean, the thing rallied after a very poor CPI report, which I thought was poor. Maybe some people don't, but it
Yeah.
looked like in the middle of last Friday, it was on the lows. Then it rallies back to highs. Now it looks terrible, but I wouldn't be surprised if it went up 1,000 points tomorrow.
Well, it
Probably
depends. It
won't,
really
but I
depends
wouldn't
what.
sit here and go, well, that's weird. No,
Yeah,
it's
it's
sort
very
of like, oh,
volatile.
I
And
guess that's the way it is.
yeah,
You're
and
right. By the time this video's over, we're limiting down, right?
yeah, hopefully. And the thing is, like, I've been discussing those cycles a lot, and I know sometimes it's hard to recognize those when you are in those trades. But guys, we always. I think I have to switch off my video in a second. Someone is coming into my door. But we always need to change. We're always changing from uptrending market into a sideways, and like you always have those cycles: uptrending, distribution, downtrend. Even though in the US stock market those downtrending cycles are not really lasting long, but you still have those cycles. And again, this here, let me pull up my pen here, this is the easiest trade. What I just said, you have one low like this, you buy the dip, and you just continue to buy on the lower time frame, 4 hour or 1 hour chart, every single dip. The question is, you don't know, of course, when this is going to end. Sometimes it can continue for longer than you think. Like I thought this is over here, but it continued for much longer. And sometimes you're just going to see a dump like that. But by the time everything started with this Omicron, and we saw first sign of a weakness. We started to see reversal candles, and then all of a sudden we saw this huge drop here. and huge spike up. And this was the start of this indecision distribution cycle, where you have to be aware, first of all those candles have a much larger size compared to what we saw back here. And if you pay close attention to all of this, you will already know back here even this is risky to trade. So if you're swing trading and having, let's say, 20 positions, long positions in your portfolio, you're gonna get totally smoked. Because if the Nasdaq pulls back 5%, 7%, 14%, all those growth stocks which we're trading, and a lot of you are trading too, they're going to dump 40%, 50, 60, 70%, some of those. So we have a lot of
Yes.
examples. And
But
so
they've
this is
been
the
getting
danger.
smoked, right? We've been talking about those for a while. I mean, you go back, you look at Disney, PayPal, Spot, SQ, Roku, Zoom Video, Okta, Etsy. All of these things have really taken a turn for the worse. And last week, even though we made an all-time high, we highlighted this earlier. I did it in one of my videos this weekend. You and I discussed it. 58% of all the stocks, this is from Friday, by the way, when the
Yeah, I
market
know,
was at
I know.
closing at an all-time
I
high,
saw it. Yeah.
58% of the stocks were below the 200-day moving average. 65% were under the 50, which means that, you know, you could make the statement that 60 to 70% of all the stocks that are traded in the market this year are actually in bear market territory and have been in the
Yes.
bear market territory. It's only been a handful of stocks, and somebody posted it on the internet, that if you took, you know, Tesla, Nvidia, you know, you took those out of the NASDAQ, the FANG names, that
Yeah.
the NASDAQ would actually be down 25% this year. It's only been a handful of stocks that have performed consistently. And inflation
Yeah.
is out of control, because if they don't get it under control, Ryan, how are we going to buy the new version of the Peloton bicycle? That damn thing's expensive. It's going to cost 12K by the time they make that sucker. If they don't get this inflation under
That's
control, I'm
true.
just going to have to walk
Yeah,
around the
Ryan is saying
neighborhood.
PPI 9.6%. Yeah. And AW is saying we take the elevator down and jump up at the bottom. Yeah, that's very true. And again, what I wanted to say with those cycles, guys, this wild price action should warn you, because every time you see this uptrending cycle, where I told you everything is easy to trade back here in this cycle, everyone throws money at the market and you think you're the greatest trader. But as soon as we get into this, you realize, okay, that's not so easy, as it looks like. So the thing is, sometimes it's hard to really find out, is it now just a pullback, or are we really switching to a difficult price action? And here was the first clues, this back and forth, huge candles, red, green, red, much larger than those candles back here. This is showing, okay, volatility is increasing. You cannot trade the same way you traded, for example, back here. Buying the dip, it will not work. Buying breakouts, it will not work at all. So that's why it's important to find out what is the current cycle, and go from there. Like going into tomorrow, I don't expect, unfortunately, a lot of positivity. I would like to be positive, but I just don't see Fed coming up with other tools. They just don't have any tools. They can only increase rates, and this is not going to save much, because now they're already too late with that.
Yes.
Ryan is
We
saying I'm
certainly
sitting
have
on a
some
sidewalk.
problems that we need to think about, right? We
Yeah,
ain't
Ryan
got
is saying
time to sit on the sidelines, Ryan. MVPs don't ride the bench.
50% of my portfolio is Mara, Hut, waiting for the bottom. Okay, let's see Mara and Hut. This is a great example for market cycles as well, Ryan. And this is the point is also, here is a good lesson for you, Ryan. Always the question is, what do you expect out of this trade? So before you enter the trade, you always need to ask yourself, is this a buy and hold, long-term trade, 1 year, 2 years, 3 years? Is this an investment? If that's an investment for you, then you shouldn't even bother looking at it every day. Then you're looking at the long term for the next couple of years. If that is a trade, you need to manage it much more aggressively. So you have to, like if you're buying the dip, you have to just make sure you're getting out of this of the risk. So for example, I know you've been buying it a lot, but just an example, let's say you buy here or even here, it goes in your direction, you just need to take profits on the way up, or just move your stop loss tight. When you get stopped out, that's fine, you're stopped out for profit. But then if it pulls back again into some decent area support, you can buy it back and then do the same thing, trail your stop. Just you can move the stop below the previous candle's low. If it is an inside bar, you're not touching the stop. But if it continues higher, you're just moving the stop here below the previous, your stop sell order below the previous candle's low. And at some point you will get stopped out for profit, or you can manually close it if you want. But look, then you're avoiding of giving back all of this. For example, this is just example. Of course, I don't know your trades, but example how you can protect gains. And if it is an
She's yelling at you
investment,
again, Ryan. She's yelling at you again.
I'm not yelling at him.
She's yelling at you, Ryan. She's yelling at you again. Sure. She's yelling at you
can use
again.
also options. That's a good idea too. Yeah. Okay,
So I don't know. I mean, maybe a relief pop. Josephine was asking about, could the market already be anticipating Fed action? If there's no surprises, could there be a relief pop? Of course. Anytime Jerome speaks, the market could react. I guess we're going to have to wait to see, because hold on. Because you never know. I mean, you really never. You should at least be prepared for both scenarios. I would find it hard for the market to continue selling at this blistering pace all the way into tomorrow, then after he speaks. I mean, that's an awful lot of selling. I'm just looking at this thing, and who was it there? Just Jerome mentioning limit it down. The other Jerome, not Jerome Powell, the other Jerome in here, talking about limiting down. It's like, wow, this thing is like a runaway train to the toilet here. NASDAQ has almost given back. It has given all of Tuesday's rally is now gone.
On one of the accounts which I managed, I shorted, so this is good. On my own account, I didn't, but that's normal.
15,597 line in the sand from the third and sixth, excuse me. You got a double bottom right there. That's where this whole rally started. And
yeah, that's good.
I don't know. It looks like it's going to end up going right on back there. It's just been straight down today. There hasn't even been an opportunity for a scalp long. You've had maybe one 10, 15-minute rally all day, and the rest has just been, and it's not even panic selling. It's just, everybody's just like hitting the bid here and hitting the ask and just.
I have to open my door. I see some people in front of my door. You should stay here. I will be back, okay?
Okay. I hope they don't kill you. I hope they don't kill. Well, I don't have the so Josephine is asking, Ryan, abandon the AMC apes. They kicked you out of the army. It's the dumbest group of, I'm doing a video now. AMC apes, the dumbest group of investing people I've ever seen. If you don't have an exit strategy, man, you're wasting your time. Why even do this if you have an exit strategy? Anyway, key levels that need to hold. Yes, Josephine, I can do that for you. You guys can hear me, right? Even though Silvia left. Key levels for, say the SPY. We'll go to the SPY, the Qs, the whole deal. You've got, if you look on the SPY, you've got Tuesday's low. Tuesday's low before the big rally, $458.63. That would be number one for the SPY. I don't have the charts here. You guys will have to pull them up. 458.63. The third, Josephine, look at the third and the sixth. There were some lows there at $450.30, $450 and $50, somewhere in that neighborhood. That's also the breakout from September. You guys look at September 2nd. That's also the breakout, right? So you got to hold that. The way it looks now, we're going to trade all the way down into that. Then you got the Qs. and it's already on its way. You have two back-to-back days on the 3rd and the 6th where the QQQ hit 378.80, let's just say 379. That was also the breakout from September 7th. This thing's already into that gap where it gapped up on last Thursday. There isn't any support in the daily chart for that. So those would be my levels. 379 for the Qs.
Okay, I'm
And what do we
back.
got here? 379 for the Q and 450 for the SPY. Those are significant lines in the sand for me. That you've got to hold those, or there's a long way to go. Long way to go. You'll probably end up going all the way back down to October. Just pull up any chart you have on the market and look at October lows. If these first round of lows don't hold, we're going to end up in October's low.
Yeah, I
That's how I
hope we
see it.
get here below this 15,500. That would be a good, decent pullback after this huge overextension. So Raymond is saying Queen of the Qs. Yeah, the Qs is
You are
messing
Queen of the
around with
Qs.
me, Raymond.
The Queen of the Qs, but you had what a rogue knight this week, a rogue knight that went crazy in the
Yes,
kingdom.
yes. I'm not been
So
very happy with the Qs in the last 2 weeks. It's been a little bit messy, moving around. So yeah, hopefully we break here below that, and same for S&P 500 and Dow Jones is a different animal, but here we have much more room. Look, Doc, you can still short look at it.
yeah, it's still like rolling over. There's no stopping.
Yeah, I mean, you have much more room here into this previous support on the daily chart, 4,495. If we break that, then we can definitely go even lower here.
And it just feels like that's what we're going to do, but you never know. I mean, it could easily turn around, but this is the deal with trading. So when it gets volatile like this, everything that you do, well, actually, this is what you guys train for. If you're doing technical analysis and learning charts, it's your skills will pay off in this kind of a market where other people will struggle because their chart reading skills aren't up to par. And it's not that you're right or you're wrong on the idea itself. It's that when things quickly change, like, we're sitting here saying, well, we were wrong on the idea, but we didn't get blasted. It was just sort of process. You're like, okay, well, this isn't going to work. Change your mind. Well, this isn't going to work. And then you go from there. But this right now doesn't look very good, does it? For bulls, it looks like that was a fake rally.
Yeah, it was
Watch
a
it tomorrow. Watch it
bull
tomorrow
trap.
go to all-time
Bull trap.
highs. Watch tomorrow go to all-time highs to make me look silly.
No, it will not. It will dump. I'm gonna hold.
And then I'm going to say in the next technical talk, I told you so. I told you it was going to all-time. It was such an easy read. Easy. Trading is easy.
Look at RTY, because I know Josephine is trading it, and I'm skipping it always because I'm not trading it. But let's take a look at RTY. This has been one of the most choppiest here in the very huge consolidation cycle for a very, very long period of time, almost for a year, and now broke out finally, and look, it totally sold off. Tried to bounce here of support, sold off again. So we are almost again back at this previous low, 2,144, and the next one is 2,111. So those lows need to hold. But again, if the whole market starts to go down, this is going to totally dump, because those trash small cap, they're not going to hold very long. What do you think about small cap? Are you trading the Russell?
I'm not trading the Russell, no. It's actually been under the 200-day moving average for a couple of weeks now. It's
yeah.
Let me pull it back
What
up.
do you think about YM? So though, by the way, that was the same situation, guys. Same thing. It pulled back. This was based on Omicron, V-shaped recovery. And I was thinking for this the same thing based on those two candles here, two small reversal candles, green candle. I thought this is gonna break out, but it didn't. It rejected and is doing the same thing, but it is kind of holding a little bit better. It's not so ugly.
No, it's not. It's only down 130 compared to the rest of them. You would think it would be 400 or 500 today. I don't know if it's a good day somewhere out there for Caterpillar or something, or one of those Boeing maybe. I don't know. I'm not looking at any of these, but you're right. It doesn't look that bad. It's actually holding up decent.
Yeah, yeah, it's
So
holding
that
up
could either
really good.
be a good long if the market turns around, or if we keep dumping, this will just succumb to the pressure and probably roll over too, right?
Yeah. So I'm gonna give you for today a short.
Uh-oh. What do we got? CPSH short?
Two short ideas, which I'm looking at, but I don't know if I'm gonna take them. The one is Home Depot, but it's kind of already late because it's almost at support. But maybe if it bounces here, 400. And the other one was let me find the here LOW. But this one is already dumping too, so I'm a little bit late for those. But they have still room as a short stocks. If I know you're shorting more than I do, so if you're looking for something, those are two good looking shorts.
I'm putting them down.
Okay. Other than that, I'm gonna go through my list, but everything is red here. So guys, here, this is my watch list. Everything is red. I don't even need to open it. If I see this crap, I don't want to deal with it. Ryan asked, by the way, for UPST. He asked you UPST. What is
I
the
find it
level?
comical, though, on another note, that the market's down so much, and the top two green stocks on my list today that I have on my watch list, not like in the market, is Beyond Meat and Docu.
Well, Docu has been totally destroyed.
Beyond Meat. I know it was upgraded, but come on now. Beyond Meat? Really? That's crazy. All right.
Yeah, Home
UPST.
Depot, Jerome, Home Depot in general, for me, it's a very strong buy stock. I would normally never short it. I would only do if the whole market goes down and I'm looking to find something as a hedge on the short side for a quick move. And Ryan is saying Home Depot must have shopped
You,
there. Yeah, I shopped there too, but it's not bad. The store is not bad.
it's inflation's making theirs going. If you pull up a chart of UPST, it is really, really ugly.
Yeah, I know,
I
but we
do
talked,
not
Ryan.
think that thing has bounce capability. Although, if you want to make the argument for that, it is into the gap. There's some support there into
I
the
know.
gap.
And I
Underneath
brought it
that,
up
it's a way, but
actually.
man, I don't know.
No, I would not buy it. I brought it here for a short. Hey, look, you would have made a lot of money by now if
Yeah.
if you
Have you?
held.
Has anybody ever watched? I know you guys have. Come on, it's an all-time American classic. Therefore, Sylvia has no idea what it is. But I know for the rest of the Americans in here, you've seen the movie Airplane, right? Who's with me on this story? Airplane with Leslie Nielsen. Remember the original Airplane? Remember when the guy was in there and he kept saying all the time, I picked the wrong time of the week to stop sniffing glue. I picked the wrong time of the week to stop sniffing glue. You remember that? He kept doing that skit over and over again. Lloyd Bridges was the character, by the way. I've done that. Yes, see, Jerome knows that. That's what I would say now. I picked the wrong time of the week to start buying the dip. I picked the wrong time of the week to start buying the dip. See, Airplane's a classic. You got to watch this movie, Sylvia. It is a very classic movie,
I will
very
check
funny
it.
slapstick comedy. Yeah, super. Uh, yeah, it's got billions of them, billions of one-liners in that one. All time good
Yeah.
one. Pick the wrong time of the week to start buying the dip.
Yeah, buying the dip now is not the best idea. To go back to the chart of UPST, Ryan, I think we discussed this a while ago together. I told you this thing is just not, it's trying to hold, but look, every time it tries to break out, it's coming back to the lows. It tried to hold here, but it never made it above the 200 EMA. It went here, and if you entered here, you need to move the stop faster because otherwise you're just going to get take a loss. So if you took it here and put it to break even, that would have been good. You would have been out for zero. But look, this is here below the 200 EMA, reversal candle, red candle. So that's a bearish sign. And I know it's very oversold, way below 30 RSI, But I personally don't really think that this is a good long right now. I would actually prefer to, on a bounce, to short it. What do you think about UPS?
Yeah, I wouldn't. I normally would go into something like that, but no, not in this environment. No.
Yeah, our PayPal never recovered, guys. And you know what? I want to bring this up because I want to show you how much, what a percentage those can move, can do. So this went
Are you going to
around
make fun of my
270.
PayPal? Ryan and I are still waiting for our Peloton to return to its glory days.
So
Maybe this
PayPal went,
Christmas season, Ryan, maybe people will have many of these under their tree with 0% financing.
maybe.
I'm going to buy
PayPal
you a
went
Peloton
200.
for Christmas. That way I can inject some liquidity into the stock.
I hope it goes to zero. So PayPal went from
Really? What? We're going to
270.
need Oprah. We're going to need Oprah to come out and tell the whole audience, everyone gets a Peloton. It's a joke, too. Do you
Okay.
even know who Oprah Winfrey is?
Yes, I do know.
Okay, I just want to make sure.
You always think I
I just
don't
want.
know all this
Well, you
American
did
people.
not know, guys. I don't mean to embarrass her in front of
You're
all
trying to
of you,
embarrass me.
but she didn't know who Prince was
I
at
know
first.
it. I told you I know it.
It
I
took
just
a while. I
didn't
said, "You've never
understand
a
it. He's
Prince? No, I don't
lying.
know Prince. I don't know Prince." Okay,
Stop lying to the people.
Prince.
That's not true. I knew it. So to go back to PayPal, PayPal went since COVID 270% to the upside. And again, that's why we're trading those growth stocks. But when they take a dive and they go lower, especially if the market starts to get volatile, they can dump a lot. So this thing went in the past 4 months 40%, 47%. And I know we discussed it for a long couple of times actually here, and it never made it. And you know, that's a good lesson also for us, because if you have a gap down based on earnings, you always need to ask yourself the question, why is this happening? So all those people, big boys, which are invested in this stock, they want to get rid of it. They don't like some of the earnings, whatever it is. Even if they have good earnings, they might not like it. They might not like the outcome and so forth. So if this happens, this gap down, this is normally an earnings loser. And even if it looked like it bounced, it totally sold off. So now this downtrend continues. Why? Because, and this is something very important, because bigger institutional traders are getting rid of their positions. And if you want to, to catch the right side, you always need to ask yourself who, and you can check this also on the internet. There are a lot of sites, who is invested in this stock, and who can potentially get rid of it if it dumps on earnings.
Maybe we ought to
AW,
short that thing, huh? That and Roku.
let's see Peloton, since everyone is talking about
Oh, I
Peloton.
don't even want to look at that poor thing. Poor thing. It's going to go the way of GoPro. It's going to end up being like GoPro.
It's trying to, and same thing for Peloton. This is the same example. First of all, why we don't trade before earnings? You don't know what's the reaction. Sometimes you have good earnings, they can still gap down. This is what happened. And gap down earnings loser, which is the opposite, is my favorite setup, earnings winner, which gap up and pull back. The pullbacks are great for an entry on the long side. But here you have gap down, pull back, and it continues. So I think this will
Yeah.
continue lower.
They actually, some analysts downgraded Peloton a couple of days ago. It's like every time it, somebody must have like Bobby Axelrod must be after Peloton. He's like,
Yeah.
every time it has a 2-day bounce, somebody downgrades. It's just like, poor old Peloton. Poor old Peloton. Can't get out of its own way, you know? The only thing that will save it is if they start getting into the rocket business to go to Mars and say they're going to put a Peloton on Mars. That seems to work, you know? That's a good strategy if you own a company. Other than that, so let me ask you this, oh, wise Bellrock.
Yes,
Actually, young Bellrock, not old wise
please.
Bellrock. Since it's not really in my, let's say, wheelhouse to do so, when you see stocks that are just obliterated like UPST, Peloton, PayPal, you would think just naturally they're due for a bounce and you look for a landing zone. But there are these ones that just seem to ignore technicals and just blow right through those.
Yeah,
Would you still consider these to be a short, even at these extremely oversold readings,
yeah,
because
yes.
they still are not bouncing? And I'm
I
trying to
do,
figure
yeah,
out, like, I
yeah,
know I got a short going on with Roku. And my thinking there was, look, I know it's down a lot already. It's like 55% from the highs. But every time one of these gets a burst of good news, they can't even put together a day like Zoom Video, PayPal, Peloton, UPST. You can't get any more than 2 days of a rally and then it's over with, right? It's all over with.
yeah. I
So I don't
totally agree
know
with
if it's
that.
actually
So
worth something like that, you know, to
I agree with this because that's actually what I just said with people or investors or the big boys, institutional traders are involved in this stock and they're leaving signs on the chart. If they don't like something, they're gonna sell it, but they're not gonna sell it like we do on a one-time market order on the big stocks. They're gonna keep selling over the next couple of weeks, months, and this is going to cause a downtrend. And even if you think this is oversold, it's not, because someone is getting rid of their positions. And that's why I'm saying it's important maybe to check also on some of those websites who is in this stock and who is getting rid of it, and help that as an information. But normally you will see that on the chart. If the selling starts, someone is getting rid of it, and most it is earnings based, like I said, on PayPal, even Peloton. They just don't like it anymore, and they don't have any good earnings, and then they just they're moving allocating assets somewhere else.
yeah.
We have a couple of more minutes. Let's check out some crypto since we didn't do this yet. Let me open up here my crypto platform.
Oh, this ought to be great. It's up, Bitcoin up a couple of $100. There's hope in this world still.
Okay. So we have Bitcoin. I mean, where it is up, where do you see it going up?
Well, it was green the last time I looked. Maybe I should.
That must have
It's
been
crazy
months
market. Yeah,
ago.
it's $160 now. It's a rally.
So this
It's a
is,
rally.
I was long here, and then I close it, and that was a good decision because look, this is just a totally meltdown. And this is something where if things are getting uncertain on the markets, on the overall market, like right now what we have, the current situation, everything is pulling back, inflation, those, and also including, risky assets, all risky assets are going to be first, which are going to take a deep dive, and that's why we see this selling. That's my opinion. Do you agree with this, or do you think no, that has nothing to do with that?
I don't know if I can agree with you. Maybe just on the sheer terms of not wanting to agree with you too much in a single day. Are What are you going to do with this? What?
I'm just asking you, do you think, because I think if everything is uncertain in the markets and everyone is, doesn't know what's going to happen next, and the first thing what goes down are those risky assets, small cap and Bitcoin, all those Dogecoin and stuff like that. Do you think the same way, or do you think that has nothing to do with the current?
No, that has a lot to do with it. Yes. The appetite for risk, if it's removed from the market, then risky assets go. And those are risky assets.
Yeah.
And when I don't say like this terms of risky being as in they're risky to own, some are and some not, but as bull markets continue and get expanded, people become more, let's say, hubris. They have more hubris and ego in their investing and trading. As inflation gets higher, they become more desperate. They become desperate traders and investors instead of logical traders and investors. So they have a tendency to really want to accumulate risk, like you say all the time, risk on market, risk off market. Risk on market, what's good in a risk on market? Penny stocks, right? The
Yeah.
IWM, Bitcoin, if risk gets off of the market and you start going into corrections, then people panic and
Yeah.
they start removing risky assets, or let's say fund money, that some people refer to it. And that can happen. Now, maybe with crypto, because again, I'm not the crypto investor, so I don't know the whole fundies, if there is fundies in there. I just look at technicals, right?
I look at technicals
And
too.
I'm not the pro, right? But maybe with inflation and the devaluing of currencies, well, then you could make a claim that crypto can go a lot higher because people will want to own something that's not, am I saying this right? Like hedged by a government, not owned or manipulated by a government. It's like an asset for the people, right?
Yeah.
So maybe there's something to that, but I wouldn't know because I'm not the crypto expert. If the charts
Yeah.
will tell you whether that's something that's true or not, but I could see that maybe in crypto's defense, as inflation gets higher, that more people would buy more crypto because their dollar sucks. Because if you said, would you rather have, $100,000 in US dollars cash, or would you rather have $100,000 in Bitcoin? Which one would you guys choose, right?
Yeah.
So if somebody was going to give you $100,000, would you want that in US dollars? Would you want that in euros, British pounds, gold coins, or Bitcoin, cryptos? Where would you want that money to be paid to you if you had the choice? And that would answer the question.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. So, my opinion to crypto, yes, it could be a potential, but again, you always need to ask yourself, and this is how I'm approaching it. You always need to ask yourself, do you see it as an investment? If that's an investment, I don't have to look at it every single day and sweat and think, oh, this is gonna go up and down. I don't really care. I'm gonna look at it in 1 year, 2 year, 3 years. That's an investment for me. Maybe it works, maybe it will not, and because it is a risk asset, I will not even, I would not even care if I lose money on it, because I have only a small portion of my portfolio invested in it. So I really see it this way. If I'm going to trade this, that's a different story. Then everything goes same with everything else, like technical analysis. You're going the same thing with through uptrending cycles, distribution, sideways mess, downtrending cycles. You see this here, and this is on every single asset. You can pull up. I see Jerome is asking about gold. We can check gold. You can pull up gold. You can pull up whatever currencies, whatever you're trading. We go always through those cycles, and you need to understand those. That's why it's so important. And here's the same thing. We went through this mania straight up move, stopped. After a while it ends, it will never last forever, and then started to go into a downtrending cycle here, and now it's totally getting murdered, this one. Ada, which I actually own, I bought it, but I don't really care about it because that's a small investment to me, and if I get burned, well, it's okay. I don't really, I don't look at it as a this is the way I'm gonna make my money here. And Bitcoin, same thing. Went through very nice uptrending cycle back here, stopped, down. For now, there is no sign that this is going to continue higher. So I need to see if I'm going to buy it. I want to see some bullish candlestick formation, some bullish price action. Right now, it just goes down lower and lower. I don't see any kind of a bounce. It bounced here, but then that was not a sustainable bounce. It's trying to sell off again now. So I want to see some more bullishness, something like this happening, a double bottom and holding of support with green candles. Then I might get interested into buying, but for right now, it's just not doing it. And gold, yeah, let's check out gold.
I love gold. You wouldn't know that one either. Sorry. I love the texture. Okay, stupid.
What was the future name? GD? Do you know it, Doug?
GDX.
I think it's GDX. Why I don't see it? GDX, is that that? No.
Is that right? Yeah, gold miners ETF, GDX.
Oh,
Or just gold, right? You can type in gold. Well, this
it's
is not the
without the
spot
slash. I was
price for
looking for the
gold.
future. Okay, GDX is the ETF.
I don't know what the future is.
I don't know either.
I should know such stuff, but I do not.
Wait, let me see
I
something.
probably do. It's just not recalling itself in the. I'm still running on DOS mode up here, safe mode.
Let me try to find it. Give me just 1 second, guys. GDX. Gold futures. GD. Okay. So to me, this looks short. This looks very ugly. I'm going to take my ETF. Definitely, if I look at GDX, it looks GLD. That's what I'm talking about. I was thinking this is not the right ticker, GLD. But what is the future? Can someone tell me the future contract
The
on gold?
future is murky. The future is dark. Yeah. That's the future.
So that's the ETF. So with gold, it's been just very messy price action overall. The point here is this has been up, change direction, down, and I've been watching it on another platform. That's why I don't know on this one the ticker, and broke out. And then this is my problem with gold and trading it overall. It goes in one direction, breaks out. You think, oh, okay, this is going in an uptrend, but then it can sell off the same hard way into the next direction. And that's because gold has something to do with the US dollar. So it depends if the US dollar is strong or not strong. That's what causes sometimes the move. And we see here it's sitting on support, but every time it's trying to bounce off this support and break out through the highs, it's rejecting and actually going lower. So GC1. Okay, thank you, Dean. Let's see. That's what I'm looking at. Let me see, because those ETFs have a lot of gaps. You cannot see the price action. GC1. No.
No.
It was
No. No.
Stop.
No.
Gas, oil. I don't know the
No.
GLD. I thought it's GLD. Anyways, but you know what I mean. You can see what I was just explaining. That is GD1 is here on this chart. You can see it actually same pattern. So it goes up, breaks down. To me, this is gonna go lower based on the chart. But do you think that this can have some effect? Fed can have effect on gold.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yes, of
going
course.
into tomorrow.
Yes. Gold is already volatile anyway, but very volatile through central bank and Fed meetings, right? Yeah, a lot can happen here, especially as people try to hedge against inflation. It's hard to tell what we come up with, but sure, I would expect a big crazy move tomorrow out of gold, one way or the other. The thing is, I just don't know which way.
There it is. This chart I was
I don't
looking
know
for.
anything.
I found it.
Yeah, that right there. I mean,
I
come
found
on.
it.
I think each one of those big dumps there are Fed meetings, right? Those are Fed meetings.
Yeah, so that's the problem with gold. Again, to go back here, because that's what I was looking for, this chart exactly. It really can go from, oh boy, going straight up into completely changing into a bearish asset and going straight down, rejecting every single resistance back here. It looked very, very bearish all the time. And then all of a sudden, this was from, I think it was a Fed meeting, broke out. You thought, okay, this is unstoppable. It's going to continue, do the same thing like it did here. But then it started this rejection and dumped pretty bad. And again, this is what I was talking about here. It started to try to bounce, but every single bounce is being a failure. It's just, you see those wicks on the upper side of the candles, it's sold off, and every single time it's trying to bounce here, just not making a good job. And you can see this also on the 4-hour chart. You see trying to bounce, rejects, sells off, trying to bounce, sells off. So to me, it looks still very bearish, but again, it has to do a lot with the US dollar. If they start speaking about, about interest rates and stuff like that, this will have also effect on gold.
Yes, yes, it will.
Okay, we are up time. We made it 1 hour, guys. Thank you so much for joining, Dean, Ryan, Jerome, and everyone else as well. Josephine, Raymond, and Sebastian. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining. Thank you, Doug. As always, it's a pleasure to meet you. Talk to you. It was a good session, I think, with our talks about FED today. So we are excited about tomorrow. And we continue with those videos or with those live sessions every Tuesday, same time, guys. So I'm looking forward to next Tuesday to see you back here. Thank you so much. Have a good day and trade safe.
Yes. See you guys later. Take care.
Bye.